Welcome to Halas Hall Report, live every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and Sunday mornings at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Live talking Chicago Bears football with Mike the Bear Fan. And your host, Ken Dobb. Also on the panel, we have the football analyst, Woody, who is named for the Woody wrap-up on game days. Next on the panel, we have Bear Down Mike. He is the youngest, but don't be fooled. This guy knows this Bear squad. He can bring a different insight. Halas Hall Report breaks down the Chicago Bears team all year long, from the offseason through the draft. Also, the legend of tailgating, Billy Defense Flores, joins the crew live at 1st and 10 tailgating. You can find him at all home games at Soldiers Field. Also, the Bear Fan, who has been here since the first year of Halas Hall Report, welcome Bear Fan Dan, where he is known for studs and duds after every game. You can find them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Roku if you have a TV. They are all over social media. You won't find no better sources for Chicago Bears news like injury reports, team updates for breaking news for all the good and the bad the team does. Halas Hall Report will be live for the 6th season. And they are teaming up with the best sports podcast out on social media.
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning out there, Halas Hall Report, Roku. How are we doing this morning? It's Sunday. It's a pregame edition of Halas Hall Report without a game to pregame. It feels strange, no football Sunday for the second week in a row, but not to worry because we got Woody and we got Mike, producer man of the year, Bear Fan. Mike, the Bear Fan, producer man. I'll work on that. He's here this morning, and we should have Bear Fan Mike here in a little bit, hopefully. And we got some Bears talk still to go with no games, but there's still stuff happening. You know, Woody, that deadline period of the season, right? Deadline for franchise tag, deadline for free agent signing, deadline for stuff for the draft, deadline. But we did get good news this week, right? Some cap increase.
Yepper. Yes, we did. What do you think?
Well, let's put it up. There's the increase. So. Yep. That's not too bad, is it?
Hey, anything more is better, right?
I mean, a $30 million cap increase, that's basically paying for, JJ. And then we still got money to burn.
Still have $8 million.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the question, though. This is the biggest cap increase I think I've seen in a long, long time. Even when just like, percentage-wise, this is the biggest percentage increase we've seen the NFL give in a long time. Why do you think all of a sudden the NFL is flush with cash? It could be all the Swifties that poured in about an additional $330 million into the NFL this year, or what? What's making the NFL be able to revenue share at such a high rate?
They want to catch up to baseball. I wish we had the baseball ones, but I don't know. What does that put us up to now with the salary cap increase?
40.
Huh. So it's 40 more added on? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's 30 more. Sorry.
30 million.
30 million more.
So the cap is that what? What's the actual total cap price though? Right. But what's the actual cap now? The total number, is it like 300 million?
285, ain't it?
285.
So what does that put us up to? Around what, 96? Is that what you're saying with the salary cap increase?
You mean that we've spent right now?
No, that we have left going in the next season.
80. No, 80? This right here. Yeah, we have 82.9 or so, give or take. Okay. Certain sites say it's 80.4, some say it's 85, some say it's, so we kind of split the difference. And I think over the cap right now is at 82.9 actually, and they're pretty good with that. So, I mean, that's a lot of free agent money. Now, we have obviously needs, and something for viewers too. This number right here, this 82.9 million, that was with your draft picks already taken out, because once the draft is solidified, you don't. If you look on the website, like Over the Cap or the other ones, you're not going to see that money, but it's there. So once they know, hey, you've got pick number 1, pick number 52, pick number 78, 134, 185, they take that scheduled money because it's all scheduled now, right? And they deduct it from your available cap. You don't see it when you view their website, but it's there. That's why you'll see if, for instance, the Bears were to trade the number 1 for the number 3, you'll see a cap adjustment, right? If let's say it's a straight up 1 for 3, for example, you'll see a cap adjustment. All of a sudden, wait, how the Bears get an extra $1 million? Because they moved from the 1 to the 3, which pays less. But then when they add a second round pick in that deal, now all of a sudden you're, oh wait, we lost $1 million. How that happened? Well, because you picked up a draft pick. So that money's taken out. So that's what we actually have to spend. And if you think about it, the way they structure deals, when you say, hey, we signed player X to 20 million, then you're like, well, why didn't 20 million come off the available cap? Well, because of the way they structure these deals, it's a $20 million deal, but it's not a $20 million cap hit. I swear you need a PhD in mathematics and other in Excel spreadsheeting and everything else to figure out the way they do cap space. And I think the NFL is the most creative with it. Because MLB is not creative with it, right? I mean, look at every year the Yankees. Where's pay the luxury tax? Hockey's creative with it, I guess, a little bit. But I mean,
not as much, but yeah, they're getting there. I mean,
so if you look after the cuts too, like that was what we had after the cut. So yeah, we had about 30 mil. We saved the 21.7. We could have saved an additional about 5 million if they were June 1st cuts. But we were like, yeah, we're flush with cash. Let's do it now. So
that was well deserved. We needed that because we all knew that was going to happen. Those two players.
Yeah, we're still the third most cap space in the league. Which, when you think about the embarrassment of riches we have right now, we have the first, the ninth, and the third most cap space in the league, and only 4 holes to fill, really, right? Wide receiver, center,
safety,
edge.
and edge. You could fill all 4 in free agency and not even care about the draft.
I wouldn't mind getting a decent backup tight end, honestly, because we don't have, like you said, we do have holes to fill, but we only have 1 tight end on the roster. I mean, he's strong, but.
Well, let's look at the first money expenditure, and then we'll get into the next money expenditures. And I agree with you, Mike. But the first money expenditure is going to be this.
100%.
And that's the over cap projection. And over the cap, they're pretty on it. I don't know how these guys got to be so good with it, but they're pretty much on it when they're close. Plus or minus 3%, right? Just like anything else, I guess. So that's going to 19 mil. Almost 20 mil a year.
So that's 5 years, 78 million. He's projected 15.6 million a year?
19.8. Or no, yeah.
So if we franchise tag him, that's 4 more million. I don't know. You guys might, like I said, you guys disagree with me. I think we're gonna franchise. I don't think they're gonna sign him. That's just me.
I mean, he's one of the best corners in the league. You know what I mean? It's hard to kind of let him go. I know. I mean, he had his best year last year. Yeah, it's during contract year. Some players do that, but he has not had a bad year yet in Chicago.
And, look, we had great comments on the show last night. So if you're watching the show on Facebook or YouTube, give us your comments on what you think we're going to give Jalen Johnson. I kind of think that, you look at the tag. Well, he's like, well, the tag's worth 19.8, but you're going to pay me 15.6 this year. Yeah, but we're giving you a long-term contract, and odds are you're not going to be able to maintain this level that you had last year for 5 more years.
Well,
it just doesn't happen.
Usually the tag always happens when both parties aren't agreeing. You know what I mean? They both
right, but Mike, I'm saying though, like, look at JJ's camp knows that tag number this year is basically 20 million. Yeah. And he's like, well, why? But you're giving me a contract that averages 16.4. The tag is worth more, or 15.4, whatever the tag is worth more. But that's when the Bears fire back and say, well, yeah, however, you're not going to be at this level. You're going to drop off speed. You're going to get, whatever over 5 years. So, and then there may be, they can always restructure and incentives. And the big question is, if you sign him at this, and how much did you say it was, Woody? 16 or 15.4, right?
15.6. So that's what, another 4 million
So
if they tag him.
So what's the cap hit though on that 15.6? Like, it's not going to be 15.6 the way they're going to design it. And to be honest, another part of the argument is, well, dude, you missed a couple games with injury last year, so we're kind of already wandering into some injury territory, and we hope you don't get injured, obviously, but we have to protect ourselves on that. And
two
then
dropped interceptions.
Yeah, you had two interceptions that would have been pick sixes in 2 games that you Stone dropped. So there's some justification for them for them to offer him a deal worth 15.6 a year, and for him to take it. And and then they can always put some other hidden incentives in there that can make that number more. And that's the thing. Like, sometimes we hear, oh, well, they offered him this. It's a $78.7 million contract, but could be worth $100 million. How often do we hear that?
Well, there is some negativity in there, but he's done a lot more positive than negative. Yeah, he should have had those interceptions. One of them was probably a pick six for sure. But I mean, he was literally the best receiver, the best quarterback rating on opposing team, the lowest. So, I mean, he had a lot of greats. So I'll let him drop some passes.
Right. But I mean, I was just saying that those are some of the arguments that Foles can make when they say, well, why are you giving me a difference of $5 million this year? And he's like, well, look, we can also front load it. This year's worth 20, and then next year's worth, but the average will be 15.6 over the 5 years. I mean, it doesn't matter if you front load it. I mean, I'd almost prefer you do front load it. Give him the 20 mil this year and make the 5th year worth like 10 million. So if you cut him, if he drops off, your dead cap might be 4 million or something.
I mean, I think he'll get signed during the year. I mean, I highly doubted that they'll franchise him twice, but I think they're going to tag him this year and sign him within the season. Work contract out. But we're just peons here. This is my opinion, but sometimes I'm wrong. I admit it.
Most of the time we're all wrong. But you were right about a couple of things. We all were. But most of the time we're wrong.
Hey, at least we're like the talking heads on CBS and ESPN. We just don't get paid millions of bucks, but we're right as often as they are and wrong just as much. But at least we'll admit it. But I mean, but after we signed JJ, now we've got money, dude. We let me see. Do we still have the edge rushers, Mike? Yeah, here it is. I got it. Here's the edge rusher, right? So let's say we spend 20 just for sake of argument. Now we're at 60 million. I mean, now when we revisit this, Danielle Hunter doesn't seem like a bad deal at 20 million. No. Josh Allen at 23, 24 seems a lot more doable now than he did a week ago when we talked about it.
Shoot, with a $30 million increase, we can get Hunter and Young, and it's only $3 million out the bank from what it should.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I don't know. Well, yeah, obviously we're not going to do that. But I mean, the Bears can do whatever they want now, because then when you look at safety, well, look at Antoine Winfield Jr. is a lot more appealing option now. You can maybe look at him and go, oh, okay. And even if you look at the free agent centers, hey, Aaron Brewer's like a lot, he was already a decent look at 5.2 million a year, but Connor Williams at 13, he's a possibility now. So when we look at the free agents that are out there, and that's 3 of our keys. Let's just assume we're going to handle wide receiver in the draft, right? And whether it be, what most of us think, Marvin Harrison Jr. or Neighbors or Adunez, one of those 3, right? We know wide receivers can get handled. So if you're looking at free agency, you got 60 million. Okay, well, I'm going to drop 18.5 on Winfield. I'm going to drop 20 on Daniil. There's 38. And then I'm going to drop Which one of these guys do we want to take? We'll take Connor. So that's what, 48, 50, we'll call it 54 million. That gives me about 6 million to do all my little million, like my long snapper I need to re-sign and guys like that. And they're not actually going to, and even then, if you sign Connor at 13.5 mil a year, the cap hit's not 13.5 the way they do it. So, I mean, we could get the top guy on all three of these boards.
Hey, Mike,
So
what I asked last week on the show, do you have a list of the free agent tight ends that we have going on?
Yes.
There we go.
All right, no Kasicki, he's Penn State. You know what? My opinion again, Noah Fant, he worked with Waldron. That could be a possibility, but I need to know his
what's his number? Yeah, what's his
number?
Salary number.
Noah Fant?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
okay. I can imagine he had a great year. Imagine him and Komet.
I mean, and you can always get a tight end. Like, here's the way I look at the number 9 pick. If let's say we do Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1, 2, or 3, right? Let's just assume it's 1. Just keep life simple. Then I look at the number 9 pick like a luxury pick, right? So if what's the tight end in the draft that's everyone's what's his name? I'm brain farting his name right.
I haven't even been looking at tight ends in the draft.
Oh, the guy. Anyways, there. Let's say Dunez is there at 9, or Alt is there at 9, and the tight end. What is his name? I'm brain farting. If he's there at 9, you take him. It's a luxury pick, right? The number 9 is can be a luxury pick. If one of those 3 big guys is there, the tight end, whose name I'm brain farting. If you know in the comments, please refresh my memory. There you go. Thank you, Dre. Dre's got it. Yeah, Brock Bowers. Okay. If Bowers is there at 9, if Dunez is there at 9, or Alt's there at 9, you make the pick. It's a luxury pick. In any case, with any one of those guys, you're improving your team. If one of those 3 guys is not there, maybe you trade back and get a second-round pick and a first-rounder next year to move back 8 or 9 spots. And if there's, let's say, an offensive lineman or some other player that's you can move back to get, that would be like, because if you have the guy you want, and if you, good morning, Chad, if there's a guy you want, right, but at 9 it would be like a reach, right? So trade back. But if one of those, if Bowers or Dunez or Alt's there at 9, I think you have to take it.
Right. And back to the Noah Fant, they have like a 2-week window on trajectories. You know how we always bring that up. We're technically in that window. It's not telling me, but his last year was almost $7 million, but he was on his rookie deal.
So it's gonna be like Cole Kmet money to get him.
Probably a little less.
Well, piggyback on what Ken said about the 9th pick. I think, man, so hard to figure this out, but
especially
I'm thinking that it depends on if we trade with New England or Washington to get up to the number 1 pick, so we get a little bit more draft capital. But if we pick Marvin Harrison at number 1, I'm thinking we got to trade this 9th pick for more capital, unless we get it down in the other rounds. That's a skeptical way of thinking. So
I agree with you, but like I said, though, if one of those 3 guys is there, you almost can't pass them up. I think the only one that you could, if Bowers is there, we need a tight end. If we haven't signed one in free agency, you've got to take him, right? If Alt's there, you got to take him. But
what if Kurtz is there, the edge rusher from Florida State too?
But if we've already spent the money on Danielle Hunter or someone else, you don't have to. Yeah. That's the thing. So if a Dunez is there, I'll amend it to say you might not take him. But if you did take a Dunez at 9, you'd have 3 number 1 receivers in your lineup. 3 guys who are legit number 1 capability in your wide receiving room is off the chart.
I don't think they go back to back wide receiver.
Well, see, right. It all depends after free agency. We can talk about this. We can give our Yeah. So
right.
And
I'm down to move down because last year they moved down. Even though they moved down, Poles still got a starter out of it. You got
right,
to have a second round pick. So if we can gain a second round pick out of it, move down, gain a second rounder, I'm for it.
right. I mean, and look, I don't want to get too much into the draft today. I was just using it as an example, though, with free agency. If we figure we're going to take wide receiver, but then when it comes to tight end, the number 9 pick for me, the reason I brought it up, because if let's say Browers is out there and we haven't signed anyone yet, and he's sitting there at 9, I don't think if this guy here is sitting there at 9, I think Poles waits till the 8th selection is made. He'll have already had some offers for 9. But once that 8th selection comes in, if this guy, Brock Bowers, is still on the board, I think he would use the 9, and there's your tight end that you're looking for. If he's not on the board or Joe Alt is not on the board, then I think he immediately trades out because someone's going to want to grab a Dunez, let's say, or Neighbors, whichever one of the two may still be there. So I mean, I think it's going to be that kind of situation. But tight end, we've got the money. Obviously, we got all this cap money. In the comments, let us know, who do you guys want to see the Bears sign? I already know before Billy Flores can, look at Billy. I love you. You're my boy, but we're not taking a certain wide receiver.
Yeah,
from
he knows.
Taking Mike Evans. You just got $30 million bonus. Pay for it.
Yeah.
He was on. So on Ken and Ken in the morning. He was on the other day saying, he goes, Ken, I know what you think, but we're gonna get him. We're gonna get him. Like, no, dude, we're not getting. I just don't. Especially if you're gonna draft Marvin. Now, look at, if we do get him, does that mean we're not drafting Marvin Harrison Jr.? We're not taking a wide receiver in the draft? That's what that would say to me.
I think we possibly could, but we're gonna trade down.
Yeah,
we'd rather get like one of the other and get more value.
For some reason, if we get a big name wide receiver, well, obviously T. Higgins is out because he got tagged. But say if we get another big name receiver, I can see us trading out of that number 1 pick.
Oh, definitely. We're making a big splash somewhere, just like last year.
Like I said, I think we're going to make a big splash with all this money in free agency.
So let's look at probably, I think what the fans would want to say is our biggest need, and that's this one here. Of the edge rushers, now knowing that we have $80 million to spend, well, let's call it $60 million because we're taking JJ as signed or capped or tagged, right? So $60 million. You have $60 million, 3 positions you have to fill, plus all your filler guys. You got to re-sign your long snapper, etc. Which one of these guys do you take, Woody?
I said it before. I mean, Hunter, with his age, but look what Robert Quinn did with our team when he came on. I say I take the chance on Chase Young. That's just me.
All right, so you're looking at the $13 million per year average. What about you, Mike?
I like Brian Burns, man. He's younger. He's up there with Hunter. Yeah, he had 33 sacks, but Burns had 29 and a half sacks. 46 of his tackles were for losses. And like I just feel like he's younger. He's got more to bring. Hunter, he's older. I'm just not a Hunter fan. I like the Young move, but at the same time, it's got to be contract light for the Bears with incentives. You got to earn it because of his injuries.
That's a lot of money.
I'm with Woody on this one. I'm going to Chase Young for all the reasons Woody said. Plus, just the idea of marrying him back up with his old teammate Montez Sweat, I think that helps the locker room with him. He'll be more at ease from the jump. And I think he's a steal at $13 million. At 3-year, $40 million, I think would be a steal for what Chase Young can be. So if we're spending, the consensus on the panel today is 13 mil. So we've got 47 million left. Okay, now we're going to sign a safety. Which safety are you taking, Woody? We got 47 million left, give or take.
Wow. How much money we have left?
47.
Oh, God. I like the way Winfield plays. Buda Baker's a little bit on the older side. Yeah. if we're gonna win now, we want to get to these playoffs and make a splash. I take Winfield Jr.
Mike. Mike's looking stuff. I'm with you. I'm taking Winfield Jr. too at 18.5. So now we'll call it an even 30 million left. We had 47.5, but we'll call it an even. I'm sorry, an even. We got 20 million left, and now we need to sign a center.
Yeah, I'm with the center, but I like the Geno Stone. He only played half the years, had 8 interceptions, led that whole group right there. If he can stay healthy, he's a great pickup.
All right, so now where are we at center? We got roughly 20 million out based off consensus. Mike's taking the cheaper options in some of these cases, but now we're at the center. We got about roughly 20 million. Well, let's call it. Actually, we got probably more like 10 to 14 million because we got other odds and ends we got to sign.
I'll stick with Aaron Brewer. I picked him before.
Mike, how about you?
This is where I'm spending my money. I like Williams in this case for sure. Like, we need a real good line, and Connor Williams fits that.
He has the problem I have with Brewer is he's the worst in pass blocking, and we already have a 27th rated offensive line on pass block. He's not significantly improving me. In fact, I don't think he's improving me there at all. However, I'm going Connor Williams with that 70. Actually, no, check that. Well, it's going to be Connor overall PFF grade. He's got a good 70 rating on the blocking, but Nick Allegretti to me with the 81.5 pass blocking, his PFF is it's a bit lower, but he had a lot less playing time. I think if Foles is like, I'm just going all in, he's going with Connor. If he's thinking, no, I'm going to be a little more reserved at this piece, I think Allegretti could be a steal at $3 million a year, considering he's been a backup in Kansas City in a good system, playing behind a guy who's as good as Connor Williams, right, or a little bit better than Connor Williams. So I would go with probably Allegretti, and that gives you then, guys, about anywhere, depending if we go with the expensive version that Mike wants or what myself or Woody want, we got about 10 million to re-sign our long snapper, to re-sign, give $1 million to an old tight end who wants to play and still can block his ass off. It gives us some money still and some flexibility to sign some younger some other talent, because you got to fill out the 52 man, right? You still got a bunch of smaller $875,000 $1.2 million contracts you have to fill. You like your long snapper, he's 1.5 million probably. And that's not to say though, with all the stuff we talked about, those contracts aren't going to be worth that cap hit wise, obviously.
Yeah, Mercedes Lewis too. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. You're going to sign him for like $1 million, $1.5 million.
Yeah.
So you got to leave some money. But even if you sign, Chase Young, that cap hit's probably not 13.5. It's probably like 9 or 10, because whatever sprinkle fairy magic dust they put on this stuff, that's how the numbers will work out. So,
but the other thing I'm thinking too is that these are the Bears. I don't think they're going to sign. We're going to fill in all of our needs in free agency. So that's just.
But we just showed you this morning how we could fill all 4 needs between the draft with Marvin Harrison Jr. and 3 high-priced free agents, because we have that much money left, and that'll make everyone very happy.
Bears.
Bears 48, Packers -37.
Yeah.
There we go.
What the fuck? That sounds sweet.
Well, hey guys, it's been a great Sunday morning. We're out of time already. Don't forget, every Monday through Friday, Ken and Ken in the morning, 10 a.m. Central. We'll be back here next Saturday for Halas Hall Report. Until then,
Packers suck.